CNN journalist is asking a question. I want to get to my very good friend Nanaya Osapo, political assistant to Alan Kojo Tremantin. So this CNN journalist, he won't mind his business. He said what?
They said he should mind his business expeditiously and wade into matters that concern him only.
What did he say?
So basically, he put up a picture on his X page this morning, and it's a picture of the 100 cedi Ghana note. He says, my first time ever in Ghana in 2011, the cedi was about 1 to 1 to the US dollar. Although, we've got to verify that. I can't recall what happened in 2011. But he says, today, that I can verify. He says 100 cedis is just some $6. And so he put that out on his X page, and a lot of people had reactions to that. In fact, that tweet alone posted this morning has some over 200,000 views. And
I see.
The reactions have been very interesting.
We'll get to the reactions.
Yes.
Very
Somebody
soon.
put a picture under that tweet. They said, please blame this guy. If you see the picture I put there, yes, you know who.
Anyway, Anaya Osapon is a political aide to Alan Kojo Tremantin. Joining us also on the phone line is Alhaji Kamal Dean Abdullahi. He is a Deputy National Communications Director of the NPP. Why did you say A?
There be no organ.
Kamal, good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, Kamal.
Yeah, good morning, my brother.
Good morning. Nanaya is asking if you are still in Ghana.
Nanaya, I'm worried I'm not in the studio with him. I would have converted him today back to MPP again.
I see. He says Kaula.
Nanaya is a Daguma man. He was born and bred in Dagbang.
Ancham to be Arab Mama Blambolma.
I am the
I hear you, gentlemen. Now,
Chief Alan Deula.
Obalala Fio. Now,
very well.
Obiala Hafu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
We are lost.
No, I'm not lost. You asked him if Chief Alan is well. He says he's well, but he's in a hafu.
Yes.
But I'm a chief in Dagbon.
Yeah.
I'm a chief.
Which of the skins?
Me.
Yeah.
Bogu.
Bogu is not in Dagbon.
Bogu.
Okay.
Bogu. Yeah.
All right.
Bogu.
That's nice.
Salifut. Bona Salifut is my chief.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm Zosimlena.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. I was giving my cola. Rightfully so.
Oh, that's
with
okay.
my smoke,
right?
Yes, with my smoke and my towel.
Your area, you have a lot of land too.
I know, 42 villages.
Yes, you have a lot of land.
I know my corner.
Please, be my friend. Because I need land.
Kamal, I'm inside your own.
I can see that.
Kamal, let's begin the conversation with you this morning.
Okay.
The Supreme Court is about to take a decision, and the conversation is that, are the parties prepared for whatever decision the Supreme Court might take this morning?
Well, let me thank you so much for reaching out to me and also linking up to my brothers in the studio. I want to say good morning to all of them and good morning to the cherished listeners as well. You see, my brother, in the legal parlance, there is saying that litigation must stop at a point.
Right.
And the fact that litigation must stop at a point, it is important we realize and, of course, uphold the fact also that the apex court of the land has the final say in what the Constitution says regarding our activities of governance and other, instances. Now, in the instant case, where we are looking at the situation where the members of parliament, who have been declared or whose seats have been declared vacant by the Speaker of Parliament, and which matter is before the apex court of the land to interpret the Constitution for us to, as it were, agree to it because it will be binding on all of us and move on. Then I say that with the greatest of respect to whoever is involved in this matter, whatever pronouncement that comes from the Superior Court should be adhered to.
I see.
If you are not happy with it, the law still gives you a room for an appellate process to trigger. Which appellate process could be a review of their own decision, as it were. So I'm saying the fact that we all agree that litigation must stop at a point, the fact that we all agree that the only institution that has the mandate to interpret the Constitution is the apex court of the land, and the fact also that we agree that whatever pronouncement they make is binding on us, then I will say that your question as to whether all parties should adhere to and listen and, of course, work with what the Supreme Court says, the answer is in the affirmative.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. So we lost Eric there. Nana, what do you think? What does the butterfly movement for change think? Are you also ready for the decision of the Supreme Court? Should you would you want to accept it?
Yes. Thank you very much. And good morning to your listeners and at least those watching us on Facebook also. I know you have a very huge following.
I'm learning.
Yes, and it's always an honor to be seated and having a conversation with you. Yes. Who said, maybe I may be a book because may a mistake.
Jai. Kamala, stop it.
Yes, you know, in the view or in the minds of those who belong to the movement for change,
right,
and following the candidature of Alan John Kojo Tremantin, and for that matter, the silent majority, we do not see this as a constitutional crisis. This is more of some little confusion in the House of Parliament that ought to have stayed in Parliament and to have been solved in Parliament using the parliamentary procedures.
Right.
This is an issue to me that is being fueled by ego.
Whose ego?
And the leadership and the lack of understanding to the fact that when it is A and you slap to the left, when it is B, no, that you'll be slapped to the left too. This has a precedent.
That's right. And the Speaker Okwe with Andre Siama still
in the picture.
Formina.
And so whatever that happened yesterday, you should not think that it won't happen today. And what is happening?
Attorney General says that was unconstitutional.
Was he in Ghana when?
Of course, he was Deputy Attorney
General in that same office.
Right.
As for Odami, I don't. He's a fine, learned lawyer. I do not want to comment on his issues. I was very disappointed following the proceedings yesterday when he referred to his colleague as being disrespectful to the court, when he had not even taken the chance of calling to find out what had happened to his colleague, whether or not it was deliberate for him not to have come. And when he himself in previous hearing had stated that there was no need for the speaker to have hired the services of a private legal practitioner. And so for you to make such statements, it was neither here nor there. And I think he owes that lawyer some apology. And
that's a senior at the bar, by the way.
I mean, even if he was a junior, I mean, it was uncalled for. That's what I mean to say. And so, as I was saying, you see, there's so much ego at play. All right? But the point is that, fundamentally, what is the matter in court?
The 4 vacant seats that have been declared by the Speaker of Parliament.
What is in court is not the 4 vacant seats. What is in court is the interpretation of Article 97.
Right.
G and H.
That's right.
All right. Afenyo Markins only rushed to court with nothing. He went to court on the 15th of October.
Right.
The declaration was done on the 18th. Now, they are saying it is an announcement. No problem. So, you went to court for stay of execution of what?
The fact that the speaker had declared the seats vacant.
Speaker at the time Afenyo was going to court had not declared the seat. He only went to amend that claim to stay execution.
Right.
You know, Parliament works with procedures.
That's right.
Standing orders. Right. And when you have gone, just like you go for board meetings and other meetings, the document you refer to after binding decisions are taken is called the minutes.
That's right.
In the Parliament of Ghana, it's called the Hansard.
Hansard, yeah.
Now, when anything is recorded in the Hansard, it means it is binding, and for that matter, a similar procedure ought to be followed to be able to unbind.
Right. As a vote and proceedings, you amend and then you correct them and then it's looked at again.
You go to court to seek an order to stay execution of something that has been recorded in the Hansard. It is only appropriate that you follow that same procedure to undo that decision that had been made. So the Speaker of Parliament comes to Parliament to sit. And then you walk out of Parliament expecting the Speaker to work with an instruction or an order that has been given by the court.
And let me hold you on. Erica J is also on the other phone line. But breaking news is that the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of Alexander Afenyo-Markin. Let's listen to Attorney General Godfrey Dami.
Shock, utter shock at this refusal to even file a process. If indeed the Speaker of Parliament himself recognized that the matter raised serious legal issues, as he said to the media last week. Where else would you address legal issues but in the court of law? Where else would you have such a definitive pronouncement on the so-called serious legal issue that the Speaker himself recognized in his press statement, done by the Supreme Court of Ghana? So as for the Speaker of Parliament, indeed, is law-abiding. I've known him for a very long time to comply with the decision of the Supreme Court. As I said, it is non-negotiable in every civilized society. When an order of the court is given, no matter how highly placed or lowly placed the court is, even if it's a magistrate's court, you have to obey until it is set aside.
Having seen the conclusion of this matter, would you say as an Attorney General that there's a need for a constitutional review?
What does it relate to this? The American Constitution itself, very thin, as we all know. Yet, the Supreme Court, that Constitution has survived over 200 years. I think that, of course, there are certain provisions in the Constitution that I think that ought to be amended, and I've expressed my views on it to the media. Article 78, Clause 1, which enjoins the President to appoint majority of his ministers from Parliament, ought to be amended. There ought to be that flexibility. I think that certain institutions, for example, the Electoral Commission, NCC, and what have you, the appointment of their heads has to be with the prior approval of Parliament. But I do not think that it calls for a complete overhaul of the Constitution. And indeed, this Constitution is very strong. And it is one Constitution which even goes as far as prescribing consequences of a failure to carry out the Supreme Court order. The Supreme Court order, the consequences are set out clearly in Article 2, Clauses 3, 4, and 5 of the Constitution, that any person to whom an order of the Supreme Court is directed shall duly carry out same. And a failure to carry out such an order, of course, has the consequences of a criminal punishment. In the case of the president, will even result in the president and vice president will result in removal from office.
And finally, do you expect the Speaker of Parliament to rip up Parliament on his own position after this ruling, given that the court has spoken in such a
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as I said, it's an emphatic determination by the court on the matter, and the Speaker of Parliament has no option but to comply. I mean, I think that we must stop giving with one hand and taking with the other. As I said, it really amounts to double standards and an exercise in contradiction. For the Speaker of Parliament, in his address to the media, say that the case raises such serious legal issues and matters body on governance and all that, and then refuse to take back. So this country refuse to take part in the proceedings. I think in this country, we must recognize some people for who they are and what they do. This hypocrisy and double standards must cease. The Supreme Court is the final arbiter on all matters in the country, including an interpretation of the Constitution. Indeed, it's the only court solely sees in position to pronounce on the meaning of relevant provisions of the Constitution. And the Constitution means what the Supreme Court says it means, and nothing more. It is the same in America, and as I said, America, United Kingdom, and all advanced democracies, that is the order that they respect. There's no way a Supreme Court would give a decision in America or United Kingdom, and then the Prime Minister, apart from expressing his disagreement with the decision of the President of America. Of course, he has a freedom of expression to express his disagreement with the decision, but he has no option but to comply, and they usually comply, and that is it.
Attorney General, many have said that this.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
Yeah.
I will continue to correct you. Stop misreporting. I am the majority leader. Don't say, no, say it. You've been saying it consistently, and I've been correcting you. The court has pronounced. Stop describing me as leader of MPP caucus. You should know better.
So, Nana, there you have it. Alexander Penyomaki. I'm clearly not happy with the description, with the description that's been widely reported in the media as leader of the MPP caucus. According to him, he still remains the majority leader, and there's been no set project. There's been no set. Young
man, wait. For the purpose of education, the speaker made a pronouncement. The court has ruled. You have lawyers at City. I don't know your experience in reporting, but once a court has made a pronouncement to restore the status quo, don't say that I am saying. You, as a reporter, there has been 2 rulings confirming that. So don't continue to describe me as leader of MPP caucus. Is that okay? Don't tell the public that I am claiming and that you don't know what it is. Unless you don't know why you are doing court reporting.
I know why I'm doing court reporting.
No. So can you clarify?
Yeah, but I've mentioned it clearly in previous reports and in subsequent reports that you are the leader of the MPP caucus of the House. And even the Speaker of Parliament, you know. So, Nana clearly
on 3FM 92.7.
Well, the breaking news is that the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of Penyomaki. Kamal, did you see this coming?
Yes, I was just listening to my brother Nanayao when he sought to say that in the first place, Penyamaki's movement to the Supreme Court was needless because there was no issue at all. In the sense that the Speaker of Parliament ought to have made a declaration.
Kamal, sorry, let me hold you and bring in Penyomaki. He's addressing the media.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know from him. He doesn't want to respond. No. Go on with
we need to get him. So what is it? I want to know. That's what. That is so. I mean, I just wanted clarity on this matter.
3FM.
We can only thank God.
92.7.
And also, it's a moment for all of us to rally around the choice we made in 1992, democracy. Democracy requires decency, and that is the path the MPP majority caucus took to ensure that we do right to the law. Nothing more, except to say that we expect our colleagues on the other side, including Mr. Speaker, to respect the outcome of this case so that we move on as a nation. All we have is the peace of the country. All we have is our democracy. And in West Africa and in Africa as a whole, Ghana shines in the eyes of the people in terms of democracy. So this is another feat we have achieved, and we must celebrate it. It's not a matter of MPP against NDC. It's a matter of constitutional, interpretation, and the court has given its verdict. We should all respect it and move on. Thank you very much. I think on the
You expect the Speaker to report Parliament?
let the lawyers deal with the issues of law. I think that all we want is peace in the country, and we chose peace. And today we've achieved peace. That is all we say.
The Speaker has no choice. He has to abide by the ruling of the Supreme Court. He has no choice. He has no choice. Absolutely. What is for him? Please. What to do?
The
Supreme Court is spoken.
The interesting thing about this matter is that as far back as 1968,
after the first Republican Constitution, we decided as a nation, which can be seen by the proposals of the Constituent Assembly, that two things will happen. The first thing that we decided was that we will have the judiciary interpret the Constitution. In fact, they said two things. They wanted the judiciary to be the ultimate arbiter of what the Constitution says, and they also wanted the judiciary to be able to give advisory opinions. The people of Ghana rejected the second suggestion and said that the judiciary should not give advisory opinions, but the judiciary is the body that should interpret the Constitution. The second thing that is important in that entire the 1968 proposals was that they decided that Parliament would not be supreme. The supremacy of Parliament was not accepted. What they decided was that Parliament will be under the Constitution. And so all our constitutions since then have followed this position. In fact, the 1992 Constitution in Article 1 says that sovereignty lies in the people. That sovereignty was expressed when the people, through a referendum, voted to bring this Constitution into force. And the Constitution tells us that the supreme law of Ghana is the Constitution. Everybody else is under the Constitution. Nobody is above anybody. Everybody has a role. And so the fact that the Supreme Court interprets the Constitution does not mean that they are above anybody. In fact, there are judges sitting on the bench. One of them is my classmate. My juniors are on the bench. But once they go and sit there, even if it's my own child sitting there, I cannot but bow and give the person respect, not for the person, but for the office and for the law. And we expect every other Ghanaian to also respect the law. We don't all agree on what is said and what is done. There are several times that I've disagreed with what is said and what is done. But because of the respect for the rule of law, because of the respect for the Constitution, we just keep quiet and follow the law, hoping that if we don't agree, another opportunity will come that we'll be able to express ourselves. So what has happened today, we have not seen the reasons. We are happy because we came to court because we believed that the right thing was that the people had not by their action vacated their seats. So what has happened to them, we are happy about it. Tomorrow, the reasons will come out. And when the reasons come out, as lawyers, then we can look at the reasons and what the court has said, and then we can discuss it. In fact, the fact that the court has ruled in your favor does not mean that you agree with the reasons. You might decide that even the reasons some of the judges gave, you do not agree with it. Two of the judges talked about jurisdiction. We don't know what they said, so tomorrow we will know. And when we know, we will prepare to answer more questions in detail. But as was said by the leader, as far as I'm concerned, today democracy has won, constitutionalism has won.
And Babe has lost.
Nobody has lost. Democracy has won, constitutionalism has won, and nobody has lost. Every one of us is holding every position that we hold in trust for the people of Ghana. We don't hold it in our own capacity. When you are an MP, when you are a minister, when you are a president, when you are a speaker, when you are a chief justice, you hold it in trust for the people of Ghana, and you are under the law. Your time will come and you leave the position. And that is what we must all write. So the 4 MPs have been reinstated. They must come to Parliament.
3FM
and as far as I'm concerned, if the status quo ante is brought back, then this whole dispute that people call him caucus leader, whatever, it should stop from today. We have a majority, which is MPP, and the majority leader is Honorable Alexander Afeyo Maki. It's as simple as
Leader. Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
And that was lawyer Joe Gatti, who represented Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin. Before him was the plaintiff himself. Akama, welcome back. I'll let Nana wrap up. He has to run to an IPAC meeting. Nana, so you had the lawyer, in fact,
yes,
the two lawyers, but one is the plaintiff in this matter, or the petitioner in this matter.
Johnny, there's nothing new in this ruling. I mean,
why are you saying that?
When you look at the posture of the court and the CJ, there was no way anybody would think otherwise. I stated it yesterday on one of the platforms. I said there would be nothing new that would be coming out of the Supreme Court. All right. But this same order would have to go through a procedure in Parliament for it to take effect, for it to be executed. Now, are we going to see another trigger of a parliamentary recall? By who? And are they going to? How are they going to enforce it? You see, we need to look at all of this. To be admitted by who? All of these are questions that we need to ask and we need to answer. If you had listened to President Kufuor, he said that yes, there will be constitution, there will be rules, there will be laws, but it takes a human being to ensure it is executed, to ensure things are done right. Leadership is that which matters. All right. This is a clear political case.
Right.
Now, if you saw the ruling, it is 5-2, right?
Right. That's correct.
Good. Now, 5-2, I would want to actually read the
reasoning,
the reasons given by the two, and then you would notice that the reasons that will be given by the two are realistic, practical, well, in for lack of a better word, very explicit.
We don't know yet. We will get to know.
I'm just telling you.
You're telling us what would be in there.
Because it's plain language. You understand? Now, to this, we just have some few days to the elections.
Right.
What is going to happen in Parliament? All right. Now, after what Afenyo has said, would he have the guts to write to the Speaker to recall? Because Speaker has adjourned Senate.
Right.
And when he does write, would he go to sit for the business meeting? And or he would state the agenda for the recall in the petition? Is that what the standing orders say? Is the execution of the orders of Parliament supposed to go through parliamentary proceedings?
Right.
Or it will be enforced by the police and the military? These are all things we need to look at. In my view, we need to let ego down.
Okay.
And respect Ghanaians and ensure that things are done right.
I hear you. Nana Yasapon, thank you very much. Special aid to Alan Kudjo Tremantin. Kamal, welcome back. Your closing thoughts. This is.
I quickly disagree with Nanaya saying that an issue looking at the posture of the court into what decision they were going to come out with. I mean, when we do this, we kind of look down upon the very institution we all run to when it doesn't look well for us. I would always appeal to my brothers to be mindful of the kind of comments we make. Towards institutions that are, of course, given the mandate by the Constitution to handle matters. Institutions like the Supreme Court. In this case, you see, the law is the law and will remain the law. And I just told you that decisions of such institutions are binding on us, whether you like it or you do not like it. And of course, mostly, judgments do not just come out of pollution or emotions, they come with ratios or with reasons, which reasons are embedded in the law. So if you have a superior argument, you equally come to counter it with the law, but not sounding emotional, as it were, or what interests you. Now, in this case, if you listen to Jogate, he says, look, democracy has won. The law has won. Question is whether indeed the judgment given by them is grounded in law or is not grounded in law. When the reasons come out tomorrow, we shall all look at it. Nobody has the right. We all have the right to criticize, but you must criticize on point of laws as always, as we all say. I am saying, from the beginning, fundamentally, have we upheld the supremacy of the Constitution as a country? The answer is yes.
Okay.
We have held that the Supreme Court indeed is giving or clothed with the mandate of interpreting the same Constitution. The answer is yes. And have we said that litigation must end at a point? The answer is yes. If these three fundamental questions are answered in the affirmative, with a due respect, we must move on as a nation and move on as a country with an evolving democracy that will see us to the place that we want to all be, as it were. But we should be mindful of our comments, as I always say. We are learning, and it's a learning curve. We are all getting a lot out of this and moving on. But we should put emotions aside and work with the law. Look, finally, Johnny, has triggered this. So a former Speaker of Parliament made a judgment or gave his decision on a matter, okay, which we all say appeared erroneous. It was wrong. Now, today, if the Supreme Court says, look, that former Supreme Speaker was not the law, was not the Supreme Court, the law interpreter of the Constitution, and he said that it is not binding on us. But whatever the Supreme Court says today, Johnny, I think that is the law, and we all must move with it, and then move on as a country. And then, of course, look forward to the general election. Whoever is given the mandate by Ghanaians will come out again and support and for this country to move on. But this back and forth, this posture is not helping. It's not about posture. It's about the law. And I think they have said the law or spoken the law, and that's what it is.
Thank you. Kamaldeen Abdullahi is a Deputy National Communications Director of the NPP. We're grateful that you spent your money with us. We're grateful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we'll take a quick break. When we return from this break, I'm sure that we can wrap up a conversation, quick one, thoughts with legal luminary Martin Pebu after the break.
I'm saying that Ghana must not introduce free SHS on the whimsical promise of a desperate politician. Many mistakes have been made by countries in Africa already with free SHS.
They said it couldn't be done. They said it was a dream, but the NPP delivered free SHS. Over the last 7 years, over 5 million students have benefited from free education. The program has significantly increased enrollment and provided access to education for many who might not have had the opportunity.
Before, my family couldn't afford it. Now I'm learning a trade and achieve it, and I'm looking forward to a brighter future.
Free SHS gave me the chance to go to senior high school. I'm studying science and dreaming of becoming a doctor.
Free SHS, investing in Ghana's future, one student at a time. Let's protect the future of our young people by voting number 1 on December 7th. Vote for Baumia. Vote number 1.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah.
Here's to the friends who dialed star 712 hash and found no regrets. To the investors who struck gold. To the health workers who diagnosed luck with precision. To the tough guy who couldn't hold back his tears. To the passionate fan who couldn't contain his joy. To the seamstress who turned her hard-earned stitches into a bundle of happiness. And now, here's to you. Your next big win is right here.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
Dial star 712 hash. Now join in the luckiest winning celebration. Every 1st July 2024. Over dial star 712 hash. Now I can to tickets as a group, individual, and now even as a community. Now when is the car prizes are in the community draw or go for the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. Unlock your luck with star 712 hash. Now join in the winning streak now.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. The luckiest. Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
Well, today at the Supreme Court, lawyers of Speaker Bagbin were absent one more time, just as yesterday, and a majority decision of 5-2. Lawyer Alexander Afenyomarkin, who until today was the leader of the NPP side in Parliament, has been upheld as the leader of the majority side in Parliament. Justice Amadou Tanko and Lovelace Johnson, they dissented. Well, the full reason of the court will be made available tomorrow, but we do know that the majority decision was taken by the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, Mariama Owusu, JSC Yao Asare Daku, JSC Samuel Asiedu, JSC, and NSJU, JSC. Those dissenting, Lovelace Johnson and Amadou Tanko, JSC. So we do know that the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of Alexander Afenyomarkin, the Member of Parliament for the Efutu constituency, in the matter of the controversy of the 4 seats that were declared vacant by the Speaker of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. And Helen, that's what we have right there. Surprising for you?
A little bit.
Why?
A little bit. I would have expected, or I thought that, I mean, of course, I'm no judge, but I thought that maybe, just maybe, the judiciary would want to have that, uphold that precedent that has already been set by the House of Parliament, especially because Speaker Okwe's ruling, I don't believe, was challenged in any form, at least not to this degree, to the courts, for example. So I had expected that that Afenyomakin wasn't going to, have his way, if you will. And of course, on social media, as the story has broken, there are a lot of reactions, and this perception that there might be some hypocrisy is one that I'm seeing on the timeline. I mean, I'm just reporting it as I see it, testing the pulse, and what you all are saying. The expectation was that the judiciary would maintain that consistent approach regarding MP seats and eligibility. Well, some people feel that the rulings now contradict or undermine the parliamentary precedents set during Speaker Okwe's time, suggesting maybe that there are different standards that are applied depending on the individuals involved or the prevailing political climate. That is what I am gathering, that depending on who it is, there seems to be some kind of different approach at play.
The truth of the matter is that the Attorney General in court yesterday had indicated that, the Speaker Okwe's decision was unconstitutional.
I join in the chorus, Johnny. People are asking, AG, where were you at that time? Because
he was Deputy Attorney General at the time.
Okay, fine, working in the Ministry of Justice.
Yes,
and their mandate...
he was Deputy to Gloria Kufu.
Right.
And he was Deputy with Joseph Banka Dindiok.
Aha, yes. So at that time, people are asking, where was he? Because as a Minister of Justice, this falls in your purview. You've got to be monitoring the space. At that time, they did not prick him that, no. If we set this precedent, it could cause us trouble as we are seeing it now. Why did nobody say anything? Because at that time, is it because it was to your favor? Listen, people are asking questions and we are dancing around certain issues. And I always say here, the way in which we critique the judiciary is very, very important. It's the last resort. So I am very careful, extra careful in how the discourse goes, how we allow the discourse to go. But we have freedom of speech. We are allowed to critique the judiciary, of course, in a respectful and constructive way. But we are at a new, we are in a new terrain, and so we have to also be flexible and allow for some of this discussion to go on. This is how we shape democracy. The judiciary is not above reproach, critique, or analysis. That's where we are at the moment. But that's what I'm picking on the socials, testing the pulse. That people think, is it one rule for one and another for another person? That is what is going on. Well,
so the 4 seats, the import of the ruling of the Apex Court today by a 5-2 majority decision would mean that the seats Cynthia Mamle Morrison for Aguna West, Kwejo Asante for Suhum, Peter Kwache Aka for Memphis Central, and Andrew Esiama Mwako for Famena would have to be reinstated. We must return to the status quo ante. The conversation about Memphis Central also, that Joanna Kujo had just been, cleared by the High Court in the Western Region to say, you can go ahead and go in. So it will be interesting in Parliament. Let's see how the Speaker of Parliament goes about all of this. He had adjourned the House, indefinitely. It will take some, request to him per the standing orders of Parliament to be, to recall the House. So the question that is being asked is, will Afenyomakin now go under the standing orders of Parliament to go and have Parliament recalled? And who will admit it? Did he know that there were standing orders in Parliament when he went to court? Did Parliament had enough processes to redress this matter before he went to court? Did he exhaust the internal processes in Parliament before he went to court? So now that he has gone to court and is coming back, how does he expect the Speaker? Because the Speaker would have to admit whatever, invitation or request you make to him before Parliament can reconvene. If the Speaker has not accepted it, forget about it. So now the court have decided, that's fine. Will the Speaker budge? That's the next question.
Or are you saying that Afenyo Markin should also go to the court now? And that's the precedent we're setting, is that every time one is going to the court to influence. So right now, Parliament is there. Is it now just being controlled from the outskirts? That is what everybody's asking. That is Parliament really a master of his own rules? Or now everything we want to take it to the courts?
Right.
Because I think those in the MPs thought, we've been doing this. We've been settling these issues as an independent arm of government.
That's
and
right.
now some of the players have decided that no,
let's go outside.
Let's go outside.
Okay.
We don't want to play in the terrain. And I think this has become a tit for tat, a power play. Like you said, will the speaker admit it, or will he say that no?
Go back to court.
Go back to court.
Yeah, let's deal with it from the court. It's going to be an interesting one there because Speaker Bagbin had indicated earlier before this ruling, when he spoke with the press, that look, you cannot literally convince me to abide by a decision of the Supreme Court, which decision can be changed at any point. He had said that the Supreme Court can wake up tomorrow morning, even tomorrow morning, and come and say, we have changed our mind. What we said today, the 5-2 decision, we have changed our mind. We now it is a 5-2 decision against Afenyo Markin. The Supreme Court can always come back to do that.
That is very true.
Now, the Speaker says, why should I bank my hopes on, decisions that can be changed? I don't think I'm obliged to accept it. I mean, that's what he thinks as the president or the leader of an arm of government.
Right.
And there are 3 arms of government. There's the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary.
Indeed.
And he says that the leader of the judiciary, executive, and legislature, surely, I think that they can change their minds at any point. Why should I be forced to take their decision? So we wait in the coming days.
In the Speaker's press conference, he made this he made this remark about how sometimes there's not enough numbers, to get a quorum.
Right.
But because they know how they play in that space, they make certain concessions.
That's right.
He might decide that, now you want to play strictly by the
rules.
book.
Okay. So if we don't have a quorum,
no business.
If we don't have a quorum, no business. And it is Alexander Afenyo Markin who is the leader of government business. Technically now, he is the leader of government business, right? And ordinarily it would have been Minister for Parliamentary Affairs and the leader of government business. So he will transmit whatever it is that Cabinet or the executive wants discussed in Parliament to Parliament. And he will be the leader of the business committee in Parliament to set the agenda for Parliament. And then they will submit what it is that they have agreed upon as business for the day to the Speaker, which will be admitted. So you get how the internal processes in Parliament work.
Yes.
So if the Speaker also decides to take a hard stance, what happens?
Listen, we all wanted finality to this, and at some point, somebody had to have the final say. We have decided, okay, the Supreme Court has the final say, but best believe that Ghanaians are watching. And we have watched. We have been on the sidelines watching all the players and actors in this space. Ghanaians are very discerning. We have been doing our homework, and we are following along in this democracy. That's how I'm going to end it. Those who know. If you know, you know that we have been watching.
Okay, we have to go and make way for AJ Akwaku Sapong to come on your television, your radio. I'll be on TV later for Election 360. But first, a few birthdays here and there. Then we will check out of the studio. So